Now, welcome back to the programme. Welcome to the programme this morning. You are joining us and we are going to have a chat now in a minute with Lawrence Wren, chairperson of the South East Regional Drug and Alcohol Task Force, and also a chat with Paul Goff and Michelle Foley about that matter of the whole issue of a big, I suppose, strategy being launched. It is a really, really big strategy that's going to be launched, and it is got to do with drugs and alcohol misuse across the South East. We're looking at objectives covering areas such as education, early intervention with young people, family and parents, delivering integrated treatment, all sorts of different things. So it's a major thing. So we're going to come to that in a second. I'm also going to be talking to Ricky Ryan from Young Narcotics Anonymous and Deise Whitmore, social media department, regarding Facebook and a dating app which they are looking at stopping. We're also going to preview sport. We're going to look at the issues regarding Ballybeg, and we're going to be talking to your new Green Party councillor. Firstly, I am going to talk to Lawrence Wren. Lawrence, good morning.
Good morning.
Michelle, good morning.
Morning.
Paul, good morning.
Good morning.
Lawrence, tell me a little bit about yourself, please.
All right, I've been working in London for nearly 23 years. Came back to Ireland in 2016. And in 2017, I became chairman of the South East Drug and Regional Alcohol Task Force. So I've been working on it for the last 3 years. So
working closely with these people here
very
beside
closely,
us.
yes, it's been wonderful.
Michelle, you never had any rows, no?
No, never.
Michelle, tell me a little bit about yourself, please.
My name is Michelle Foley. I'm a researcher at Waterford Institute of Technology. So my role on the project was basically to conduct the research element of the strategy and to get the information together to produce the document that we are actually launching today.
And Paul, a little bit about yourself, please, sir.
Yeah, my name is Paul Goff. I'm the regional lead with the HSE for Substance Misuse Services. So we cover the 5 counties: Waterford, Wexford, Carlow, Kilkenny and South Tipperary. Our work with the task force is really, really important because everything we do when we're working with people who use our services is about working with different agencies to try and support people. Treatment is only one aspect of people getting into recovery. It's an important aspect, but it's only a very small aspect. So we work with partner agencies, with family support, but with people themselves, and we try to let them direct the journey that they're going on.
Lawrence, it's a nice, small, tidy document. Some strategies can be quite elongated, and fair play to you. And from a research point of view, I presume there's a lot more behind this in different areas. But in terms of the summary, it looks quite concise, which is good, because it sounds to me, from what I've heard about this, it's a document and a strategy of action, that you want to get things done. Can you tell me, please, in essence, your main points regarding this strategy?
Well, the main points of the strategy, and you're absolutely right, Damien, it is actually a very concise document focused on the actions. Now, the main points in it really are divided up into 5 or 6 key objectives that we want to try and achieve over a 3-year period. And I want to say at this stage that this is the first strategy in the South East region for drug and alcohol for the task force over a 3-year period. So we're looking from now until about 2022, 2023.
Isn't it amazing nothing has been done like this before, in a way?
Well, I think it probably is, but
period.
There have been action plans,
yes.
and various agencies have their own plans. The HSE has a plan, the Gardaí have plans. But in terms of the responsibility of the task force, we are tasked by the national drug strategy agencies and committees to actually pull together a response at local level across all the agencies. So that's what this is about, in effect. Let's see what we can do locally. And so some of the key areas really are around our young people. I mean, that's clearly one that's come up. I was just reading the paper there this morning and listening to yourselves. It's a huge issue of young teenagers getting into drugs, getting into crime, not knowing where they're going to end up with some of this stuff. So we have various actions in the task in this document to try and address some of this stuff. I mean, I could go through the 67 actions, but we won't obviously have time.
No, we won't, but there's a comprehensive, and I want to talk about that comprehensive nature, Michelle. Where did you come into this in terms of collating the information and pulling it all together?
Okay, so there was various elements to the research, and the first thing was to look at the available literature and the data that was available in relation to levels of treatment, hospital admissions, poisonings and deaths related to alcohol and drug. use. So that was the first element to look. Then the second element was to have public participation, to involve the public, the people affected by substance misuse, people in communities, the Gardaí, service providers, families and friends. So we had a number of public consultation meetings, one in each county, which were attended by a wide variety of individuals.
Did they work?
Oh, they were absolutely brilliant. They gave us great knowledge and information, and also the Gardaí were present, and they were able to hear some information firsthand, and families were able to describe the situation that they were in. So it was really informal but very informative. So that was the second element. And then the third kind of big element then was to conduct a number of focus groups. And this was across a wide range again. So we had the service providers, we had a mix of service providers and service users. We had various groups, community-based groups, and then people who were in aftercare programmes.
Paul, how bad is the drug problem in the southeast? Like, we hear stories in the newspapers and we hear anecdotal evidence that drugs is everywhere. Now, obviously, there's differing types of drugs. We have illegal drugs and we have alcohol misuse. Talk to me about illegal substances first.
Okay, well, I suppose everybody knows that drugs are widely available. The southeast is no different than any other part of the country. So we're not saying that there's a more major problem here or a bigger problem here than anywhere else. But definitely we're seeing changes in patterns of drug use. We still have our usual, people smoking cannabis. But now there are so many different levels of cannabis use, or marijuana, and so some of it is very potent. We have also what we call new psychoactive substances, which are synthetic drugs, and these are really coming in. These were the old head shop drugs, but they seem to be gone underground now, and they're causing major problems with people. But the biggest growth area in the region is cocaine use and crack cocaine use. So that's becoming very prevalent now, and that's the same as a national picture. Within our treatment programmes, alcohol is still the major one. About 56% of people presenting to the HSE addiction services are there for alcohol. But after that, it's heroin, opiate use. I suppose we can bring together, there's illicit heroin use, but there's also prescribed medications. So an awful lot of people are presenting for treatment who were on painkillers and become addicted to painkillers.
The likes of codeine.
And and other stronger painkillers, which are the opiate-based ones that are prescribed, with good intentions, I suppose, but people become addicted then.
Yeah, they do. I have a relation who was addicted to codeine, and he had to go through the whole Rutland Centre, and thankfully he's fine now, but it's horrendous. It really is. I'll come to you in a second, Lawrence. Michelle, on the basis of alcohol misuse, again, maybe were you able to get much information on the hidden alcohol misuse? Because these are, in the evening times, the glass of wine, the 2 glasses of wine, the drink every evening, a glass becomes a bottle of wine every night. If somebody's drinking 3 or 4 glasses of wine a night, are they an alcoholic? Have they a problem?
I suppose that's very difficult to establish. Again, with families who attended our public events were able to describe situations, and also some people who attended the focus groups told us about the situation they found themselves in, especially people who had entered retirement and suddenly started just having a glass of wine at lunchtime, and then it escalating into, a bottle and a half, 2 bottles. And it wasn't until, some people described to me, there was an incident, maybe they had an accident or they had a fall or something, something along those lines, that it actually was picked up and identified as a problem. So I suppose in relation to the hidden population, information. It's really, really difficult. So that highlights the importance of, you know, having information, giving information to people that there is help out there, you know, that they can go to speak to their GP, there's helplines, you know, there is people that can help, you know, and it's getting that information out there to help those people.
And the very essence of all this, Lawrence, is honesty at all levels. Honesty within the HSE about what the problems are and how do we solve it. Honesty within all the research that's put together and within all the different services and the guards. Nobody needs to cover up this, and also users themselves being honest, whether it's alcohol or cocaine, to say, yes, I have a problem.
Absolutely. I mean, what I would love to happen as a result of this strategy, like tomorrow if we could, is to normalise accessing help, to make it as normal for somebody with a drug or an alcohol problem to actually talk about it, first of all, with their own family, with their partner, with their friends, with their whomever, and then to access help and to know where to find help. You know, to actually go to the trouble of finding help. And when we've got a website which covers all of the services that we're aware of in the southeast area, it's www.serdat.ie. Access that if you wanted to find out information about services that are in your area. Knowledge doesn't kill you, but the lack of knowledge will kill you especially if you get into heavy addiction. And like Michelle has just been saying there, like if someone's on a bottle or 2 bottles of wine every night, I mean, I'm sure from a medical point of view, you'd say that they have a serious problem with alcohol misuse, and they need to know the effect of that on themselves. And look, we all have a drink. We all like it. I mean, we all like maybe a cigarette more every now and then or whatever. That's not the issue so much. I think the problem is knowing the limits and knowing the effects this has on you personally.
The harm.
And the harms in relation to you and your partner.
And others, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very much so.
Because drug taking is not a single...
And what we'll do, Lawrence, is we'll talk about the harms now in a second. If anybody wants to text in, please do 083 333 975, or you want to call Audrey on 051846123. And Ricky is going to join us as well in this conversation. Stay with us. Now you're listening to I suppose an exclusive preview of this major drug strategy that's been launched. Dr. Lawrence Wren is joining me here. Paul Goff, Mr. Lawrence Wren, Paul Goff, Michelle Foley, and Ricky Ryan is joining me as well. Morning, Ricky.
Come on, Damien.
We'll have you in now in a second. We're just going to talk a little bit more about this strategy with the 3 others. Before I forget it, happy birthday to Louise Mason Tiernan out in Passage East. Now, Lawrence, you were talking about the harms. Tell me a little bit about the harms.
And the harms in relation to you and your partner.
And others, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very much so.
Because drug taking is not it's not just a once-off event kind of thing. It has a huge impact on our communities. I mean, you know, the more we increase the demand, the more the supply increases to meet it. And that's what's going on, particularly with cocaine.
Does this possibly lead to a discussion on methadone clinics, Paul? Should we, and are we looking at more methadone clinics around the region?
Well, we have a number of methadone clinics around the region. And what we know is that there's more need out there. There's a lot of people who are using opiates that haven't accessed services yet. Now, the reason for that can be that people are not ready to access services, or it could be, you know, that if we have the services, more people will come. We have experiences around the region, you know, where we had no methadone clinics in one particular area, and we opened up a clinic, had a very small clinic for a while, but it had mushroomed. So you build it and they will come sort of a scenario. So now in that area we have 3 methadone clinics going, and with the possibility of a 4th one now.
And is that the right strategy?
I think the HSE and the national policy is a harm reduction. You know, working with people to try and reduce the harm that substances are causing. So methadone is one of those strategies. But I think methadone, when it emerged in the 80s in Dublin, and people stayed on it for life, is not the right strategy. I think methadone is a way of people stabilising, getting a bit of normality in their lives for a period of time, so as we can do the other work with the agencies, with that person, to try and move them on and come off of methadone and get into, you know, the work with special CE schemes, back into education, back into training and back into work.
Because, Michelle, it's very simple for somebody to give methadone over the counter to somebody and say, off you go. That's grand. You've ticked the box.
Yeah. It's about...
It has to be an awful lot more than that.
Absolutely. Like, it has to be about, rebuilding a person's self-esteem. Again, getting that whole area around stigma and shame and all the shame that comes, with being a drug addict, and removing that stigma and that shame and helping people to get back into employment, getting back to education, getting back into their communities. And I think that is so important, to help to help people that are in recovery, okay? Because they will always be in recovery for the rest of their lives, So very important that whole area of treatment continues.
There for the grace of God, Lawrence.
Indeed. And, Michelle's mentioning recovery. I think we've been very fortunate that we have started some wonderful recovery work, communities of recovery across the southeast. There's one particularly in Kilkenny, and it's almost a model for the kind of thing we'd like to roll out through the strategy. So, and that's where, service users who are now in recovery themselves come together, help each other out, form a kind of a company of friends, if you like, a support group, and are doing fantastic work. And, they've gone into training themselves to become recovery champions in Kilkenny, and now we're beginning to branch it out in other areas. So the recovery agenda is a big part of this strategy, and, but you need the agencies to come together,
Is there money going to be put into this?
Well, now, there's a $64 question. Ask the next Taoiseach or whomever, if you can find them. I mean, I think we're going to try and...
It's grand having strategies. We've all seen strategies go on shelves.
Absolutely. But the real resource is not even the money on this. The Recovery College will tell you it's not the money even, it's people. If you can get the people to become involved, get your service users trained up, you don't need huge amounts of money to get some of this work done. There are other parts of it that you do need money for. And, clearly we need more. I'd love to see something, for example, like a kind of an information pop-up shop in Waterford City Centre, in Clonmel, in Kilkenny, giving people information just about some of this. That requires a bit of money. So there are aspects of this that do require money. And I'm sure Paul would put a flag up for kind of more money for some of his treatment services. Yeah, but, you can throw 50 million at it. You can throw oodles of money at this and you'll still end up like they do in America with a huge problem.
It's about doing things differently, Michelle, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. It's about, I suppose, building from the ground up and empowering people to help each other. You can throw money at things and never get anything done. But I think when we developed the strategy, it was so important that we had all the stakeholders involved, because it's their strategy. It's not our strategy, it's their strategy. And it's there now for the taking, for people to implement and to act upon.
Paul, are you and the HSE serious about this?
Oh, extremely serious. I think this exercise about developing the strategy, we had a planning day a while ago with where were services and people who use the services, people with the lived experience came together, and it really brought home the human factor.
Yeah.
People who access our services, the HSE service, they're somebody's son, somebody's daughter, somebody's brother, sister, mother, father, and the human factor it's there.
Because people give out about the HSE sometimes, and it's quite difficult to say I work for the HSE, but you're there at the coalface. Your people are listening and dealing and trying to help people.
Yeah, and I think today, when at the launch today, we will see that where we're bringing people with lived experience, the families and the service providers together, because everybody works together in this, and the goal is recovery, and there's different ways of getting there, and so the HSE are really 100% behind this. I think we're an important part of it, a really important part of it, but as I said at the beginning, recovery happens in the community. Treatment happens in a short period of time, but all the agencies working together with the family support, with the person who has the experience, and bringing other peers who went through that process together. That's when we get success.
Paul, thanks very much. Michelle, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lawrence, thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
The very best of luck with the strategy. Let's talk again maybe in 6 months' time.
Yeah, I'd love to
see how things are going. Okay,
great.
Thank you. Okay, thanks very much, folks. And Ricky, how are you?
Not too bad, Damien, yourself?
Good, thank you. Ricky Ryan, Young Narcotics Anonymous. Tell me, just remind people again, you are recovering.
Yeah, I'm in recovery from drink, drugs and gambling. Coming up on, I'll be 5 years September.
How are you?
I'm good, yeah. Things are good, yeah.
Oh, you're looking well, keeping
Thanks,
good.
yeah.
You were in last year to me and you did a little piece during the debates as well, and I said I'd have you back in because not only have you experienced the services, you've experienced the hardship and the horrendous fallout of addiction, but you're now working within the service.
Yeah. I volunteer. The services that I got involved with were mainly the SARE programme, which is the special CE that they were talking about just there, and the Frontline project, both based in Johns Park in the Shire Centre. And look, all these strategies that they're talking about in their fancy book now, they've all been there before, just without the name and without all been put into a book. And while, with the greatest respect to the people that are putting in the work to it, while it's great, it's a lot of work put together, but implementing it the way they want it is going to be a completely different ball game. They want to up the referrals to the special CE schemes. Now, I can tell you personally, coming into recovery, you need that space, right? You spent years in active addiction. Education goes out the window, your job goes out the window. I know this is in every aspect of life, and even if you are working, you're not really concentrating on what you're doing. It's more of working to pay for either your drink, your drug, your gamble on the weekend. You know, and with all this, right, you refer more people to the C schemes. That means there's more people on the C scheme. That means the attention that you need and the work that you need gets less. You have less time with your C supervisor, with the workers, and then you're causing the problem. You need that space. Like my C scheme, there's usually 10 of us at any given day out there. And that worked out perfectly because the 10 of us were given half an hours each, and have the space to grow ourselves. You up the numbers, and that time goes down from half an hour to 5 minutes.
So it sounds good to put it down on a document and a strategy to say more people go on the CE schemes, but that's not really the solution.
It's not really realistic. And then the whole, like the HSE are more interested in harm reduction. And that is, I believe in that method when it comes to a certain age group. Like I was 16 the first time I ever went to treatment. And telling me I could never drink, use or gamble again at 16 was a big ask. And it didn't work. And that's probably where harm reduction could have worked at that age. But being an addict, I don't believe you can harm reduce. I believe it's you're either using or you're not. Now that's my personal belief.
You can't be half pregnant.
That's it. Yeah. You're either drinking or you're not drinking. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, you might be able to manage on 2 bottles on a Saturday night. But then what happens then if your relationship breaks up or whatever? You're still after holding on to the corner of the towel. So why give up then?
John has phoned in. It doesn't matter what strategy they bring in. It just doesn't work as long as the judges continue to hand down Mickey Mouse sentences.
And I do agree with him. Now, I believe everyone deserves a chance. People make mistakes when they're younger, and everyone deserves that break. But the issue is that there's some people going around with 60, 70 previous convictions, 30, 40 previous convictions. Now, I'm not saying lock them up for years, but are you really benefiting them by leaving them out and leaving them away with things like that? It doesn't work out in their benefit and the benefit of the public.
Because they can come to harm, they can commit crime, they can get stabbed or killed themselves. You just don't know.
Yeah,
you just don't know.
Yeah.
So they could be safer in prison.
Yeah. And then with that, and with the greatest respect to the guards as well, I have friends that are guards. When they get their orders to look, when the drug task force are sent out to make all these arrests and all these search warrants, right? My issue with this is I've seen on papers over the last few years, when they had these big operations to bust a load of criminals for drug-related crimes, they go for the people that are using, not the people that are dealing. And that's the part I don't understand, right? So we'll take the people who are sick from the drugs, but not the people that are supplying it. What way? I can't understand what way that works.
Yeah, Billy Sullivan phoned in to say he's running a street awareness programme for schools for the past 25 years, available to talk to youth clubs and to drugs. Another person has texted in 083 333 975. Task Force my arse. The only people to sort out the drugs problems are the guards, and money has to come into it. What did you think when you heard that there's not actually money dedicated to this?
like their reason for it is you can train the service users, you can train this, and then it'll save money. But that's, you're forcing something. So right, we'll get someone clean and we'll force them to do a job that they mightn't want to do. It's like, what benefit is that? Like, it took me 3 years being in recovery to actually figure out where I wanted to go in life. And in them first 3 years, I was very vulnerable, very impressionable, because I didn't know life, I didn't know what I wanted myself, because I spent so many years acting out with addiction.
How old are you now?
22.
I'm still only a young lad.
Still only a young lad, yeah.
Whippersnapper.
Yeah. But if you don't give people the choice, right, you can come on the scheme or you can work with us, but then why don't you do this training and you can help other people? You're putting a lot of pressure on someone to do that. And then, like the HSE have a lot of problems, we all know that. But then another issue then is, I have friends, personal friends, and this is only in the last 6 months, that have looked to get into treatment. And in order to get into treatment, because they're not on probation do have a certain amount of quotas to get into, have treatment beds. Because they're not on probation, they have to go to the HSE, and then they have to do clean urines for, I think it's for 4 months or 6 months or something like that. But first they're on a waiting list for 6 weeks in order to get the meeting for the urine, and then they have to do clean urines once a month for 6 months in order to get the referral, we'll say. Now, as an addict, I can tell you here and now, it's a blessing to get a day clean. Never mind trying to stay 6 months clean, especially when you're out and around, you're with the people. The only people that you probably know are the people that are taking drugs or using. And it's a very slow process. And then, personally, my friend relapsed on the 3rd month, so then he had to restart the whole thing. And now that happened 3 or 4 times. Like, that's not right either. So there are a lot of things. While in the broad spectrum it looks lovey-dovey, looks like a nice pretty box, but when you actually open the box, like when you get down to the nitty-gritty, there's a lot more work and a lot more thinking needs to be done about it.
Ricky, thanks.
No problem.
I'll tell you what we'll do. I might go out with you next week or the week after just to see how it actually works on the ground.
Yeah,
okay?
Perfect, yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. Ricky Ryan, Young Narcotics Anonymous. If anybody wants to contact you, wants to get in touch, how do they get in touch? How do they...
I can give you my email address and you can put it up on the website.
We'll put it up on the website, and the first thing to do, I suppose, if anybody has any issues, if anybody's listening to this, if there's a family member, go to your GP.
Yeah.
That's the very first thing to do. Another person saying prisons don't work, they need to be sent to treatment. Treatment is a major issue. Not enough treatment centres. And also the treatment centres that you go to, somebody text in to say, where do the HSE send the people? And there's issues about Portugal, whether Portugal works or not.
Yeah.
So much different issues to talk about. Listen, thanks.
Thanks a million, David.
Mind yourself and stay clean.
Thank you.
Great to see you again. Thanks Ricky.
Come.
Now, text in, please, 083 33 975, or you can call Deise today on 051 846 123. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter, on Instagram. We're not on TikTok yet, Denise.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
I don't think I'm a TikTok person, am I?
Really? Yeah.
Are you TikTok?
Do you know something? I actually downloaded the app. I made the mistake of looking at it and I fell down the rabbit hole and I ended up spending about 3 hours looking at these short little videos. I was like, I can't do this for the rest of my day, but I've yet to actually do video myself, but yeah, I've watched quite a lot of them.
And a lot of people won't know what we're talking about.
I know, yeah.
But they can. TikTok, it's an app. You don't want to know about it, don't go near it. I tell you, it's addiction, because we were talking about addiction just a minute ago. Yeah. I'll come to you in a second, Denise. Thanks so much. A text in on our WhatsApp. Damien, drug dealers and criminals and people robbing the elderly so they can buy drugs should be sent to Siberia for a few months hard labour. It would be cheaper on the taxpayer. They would think twice again before breaking the law. My name is William. I'm an alcoholic and a gambler. I'm 40 now. I've never really stopped since my 16th birthday. Is there any hope? Yes, there is hope, William. And again, every day we know people that battle addictions every day. There is hope. There's always hope in all different walks of life. So, listen, we might get back to you with the number for Ricky so that he maybe talk to you personally himself, because I'll tell you, he's one of the strongest guys I've ever met, as you heard him there a few minutes ago. One of the reasons we had Ricky in, because on the launch of the regional drug strategy, I don't just like talking to the officials. It's good to talk to people that are at the coalface, and Ricky is one of those people. As I say, Young Narcotics Anonymous, if you want to check them out on Facebook. Keep your texts and comments coming in. 083 333 975. And please, if you want to text and comment now about Facebook, have you used Facebook for dating? Have you used dating apps? Are you afraid of putting your information out there on apps? Do you think it's a good idea? What do you think about it? Please let us know, because I want to talk to Deise Whitmore. Deise is with the social media department, the social media department company, I suppose is what it's called.
Right, yeah.
As opposed to the social media department with a...
It was about time we got its own department, I think.
Thank you so much for coming into us. We're going to talk about Caroline Flack as well in a minute. Firstly, we're going to talk about the dominance of Facebook, and then there's this issue that the Data Protection Commission has expressed concerns regarding some of the issues with Facebook. Explain this to me, please.
So, well, as you know, Facebook, it's massive. It's one of the biggest social media platforms globally. 67% of the Irish population are actually on Facebook. Whether they use it daily or not, that's another question, but they actually have Facebook accounts. So I suppose when it launched, Facebook was always about relationships. It's surprising that they've actually taken this long to get into the dating game. I think originally that's actually where it was going down. It was that kind of swiping feature, hot or not type feature with college students. But it just kind of went, down the business route. And now it's starting to look at dating. I can understand why. Dating is a huge industry at the moment. I think it's worth about 12 billion at the moment.
12 billion?
It's huge. Absolutely huge, yeah. And that's not just, subscribers and things like that. That's the actual advertising within the apps themselves as well.
Wow.
So it's massive, yeah.
That's literally people using apps, as you say, not even subscribers. That's just the ads within it.
Just the ads within it, yeah. Yeah, so it is a crazy industry, and it's getting bigger and bigger. I suppose it's so ironic, right? When you have all of these apps to keep us more in touch with people and more connected with people, yet we were becoming actually less and less connected in the real world. So it's very difficult for a single person to actually meet somebody. Nobody wants to go out and sit at a bar and wait and get hit on anymore. Nobody really does that. So, and as well as that, you've got, let's say, more and more people getting divorced. It's not as much of a taboo anymore in their 40s, 50s, 60s becoming divorced. There's no dances anymore. What are they going to do? So the first thing that they do is go online and they fill out their information, and it's actually easier to chat with somebody, maybe sitting at home in your pajamas with a glass of wine on a Saturday night, having a chat with somebody online before you meet them in person.
Is that a false situation? Or is it reality for so many? It's reality for so many people, but it's not actually physically meeting somebody. So I was talking to somebody recently who spent 6 months conversing with somebody online.
No, that's a problem.
On a dating app, through a dating app, okay? And then met them. And the first time they met, they realised they weren't suitable. Whereas for the 6 months, they thought, oh, this is nice, this is good.
Yeah.
And now they realise they're not suitable.
No, I think, look, there are certain, not rules, but, think guidelines that you'd have to follow when you're actually going to date online.
Go on, tell us them.
Okay, right. So... Don't chat for 6 months. I would say 2 weeks maximum. You need to meet this person as quickly as possible. There's been lots of times. Look, I've been on Tinder. I've been Plenty of Fish, Hinge, the whole lot of them, right? And you have to. You could find somebody. You could match with them. You could have a great banter over text, but then you go and you meet them face to face and you just realise that, no, they're just not for you. So if you've wasted 6 months doing that, that's awful. And then you're actually going to miss that kind of texting relationship that you would have had. So definitely meet the person as quickly as possible. What
if this person lives somewhere else in the country?
Well, are you going to have a relationship with somebody who's living 2 hours away realistically? No, you're not. So and as well as that, even if they do live a couple of hours away, again, make the effort to meet them. There's no point in continuing a texting relationship with somebody if you're not willing to actually get into the car and drive to meet them. It's not going to work out.
Do people tell lies online?
Of course they do, but they tell lies in a bar as well. You could meet a guy in a bar and he tells you he's a solicitor from Dublin and he could be a farmer from Cavan. So you're like, unless you can pick up on the accent.
You might have road frontage.
He might have road frontage, yeah. So that would be definitely better than the solicitor in Dublin. But no, look, everybody lies. Of course they do. They're going to lie about their height. They're going to lie about their weight. But
are they going to put up false pictures or pictures that are different?
This is another issue as well. We, as humans, want to show our best selves. So the photographs that we put up are 10 years old and they are looking amazing, and you've got full makeup done and your hair straightened and everything. And then,
or if you're a man, you've had hair, hair, and now it's gone. You're completely bald.
But that's not reality. So a lot of people, actually what they're doing now is putting up kind of average photographs so that when they meet, it's more realistic. The other thing about meeting somebody online as well is that there are some red flags. People, you can get catfished as well when you're online.
What does that mean?
So basically, somebody pretending to be somebody else, and then they
Catfished.
get into a kind of a relationship with you, and then they might start asking for money to be sent. So that there is that little bit of an element. I think it's more in the older generations, to be honest with you.
Okay.
They kind of get caught that way. But
a person has texted in, Damien, it's a waste of time. Fake profiles. Dating has changed. Has dating changed in the last even 5 years regarding Facebook, do you think? Tinder or any of it,
so Facebook hasn't launched. This is the whole problem with the Data Commission at the moment, is that Facebook tried to launch the dating app here in Europe, but kind of didn't give the Data Commission enough time to look at its privacy policies, and they said no, you're not allowed to do that. So that's been put on hold, but it has been launched in the US. Dating has changed. It has. And in my opinion, it's gotten a lot more difficult. There are a lot more choices available if you are on Tinder. You could match with somebody, have a great first date, even 2-3 dates, think it's gone really well. And then they are still on Tinder. They're still meeting and chatting with other people. And then they go on another first or second or third date with these. And then all of a sudden, that original match is gone. So there's a lot more choice there.
I want to talk about Caroline Flack.
Yes.
So, as I say, we're talking to Denise Whitmore from the social media department. The Caroline Flack story is still in the news today. It's still going on.
Yes.
What's your thoughts on, I suppose, the reaction and how people are talking about it online or otherwise?
Yeah, it actually kind of really angered me, to be quite honest with you, okay, because for the best part of a decade, I've actually been going into schools and teaching young kids about cyberbullying and about, just because you have a keyboard in front of you and you can actually say something doesn't mean that gives you the right to do that. You should be thinking before you say these nasty, nasty things online. It's a lot easier for somebody to do this when they don't have that physical reaction, from somebody's face in front of them, that they can just type things onto a keyboard. The fact that we're still having this conversation, like I said, the best part of a decade later, it's crazy that there's still people willing to do this. I don't get it. Maybe, a lot of people, in my opinion, they're putting it back onto the platforms, and that's not right either. It's not Mark Zuckerberg's fault that somebody is typing something nasty online. It's no more that it is, the inventor of the radio or the TV that is their fault if there's false advertising been put out. We have to take some sort of personal responsibility for our own actions. And that also comes down to sharing fake news, not doing our own research, reading things about health, about medicine, and sharing them without actually knowing the full facts. It's a massive issue at the moment.
But people that use a lot of Facebook, for example, they don't actually check.
No.
So, for example, last week, there's a guy in Waterford who has been homeless, has been on the streets, very famous. He's up in a nursing home at present. The word went out online that he was dead. We checked it, because that's what we do as journalists and as news organisations. And he's still alive. And we put it out saying he's still alive. Yeah. But they had him dead and buried.
Yeah.
I
saw that.
I saw
it.
Whose responsibility? If somebody says Howdo is dead, somebody else then says, oh, I'm sorry to hear about that. They presume it's true.
Exactly.
There's a presumption so much on Facebook and on social media, which can be false, even though people don't mean to be.
I understand that, but at the same time, maybe before you share something, go and look up your local radio station or contact somebody there and say, is this true? Get some reliable sources before you start sharing everything on Facebook. I think that's the best thing to do. But I don't know, it's just this whole concept of tearing these celebrities apart just because they're in our public space. And I understand that they've put themselves out there, okay? And they've kind of shared a little bit of their private life in order for exchange for some fame as well. But that does not give us, the public, the right to say these awful things to them. And she actually, Caroline put it out saying that she was suffering from mental health issues. And the media just continued. They continued to kind of rip her apart. Even there was one particular newspaper in the UK, I won't mention it. There was one particular newspaper in the UK, the day after she was found, they released a timeline of her love life. Like, why? Now, they'll say that they do that because they'll sell the newspaper. But surely there's some sort of personal responsibility on the person who's going out and buying that newspaper or buying that magazine. If we actually stopped buying these tabloids, these magazines, if we stopped sharing the news, then maybe those particular media outlets will actually stop delving into the private lives of these celebrities.
So the people have to take responsibility.
I think so. Yeah, I do think so.
A texter in the courts, a texter in from John, Caroline Flack wasn't cyber bullied. She courted the media when it suited her for her own success. She was a 40-year-old adult, not a 4-year-old child. A lot of people say that. A lot of people say that about Diana as well. Look, like I said, I understand that these celebrities, that they can use the media to their own advantage. But at the same time, it does not allow the public to kind of say these kind of things to her, to say these nasty things to her, or for the media either, or for anybody in that matter, Denise Whitmore, thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you very much.
We'll talk to you again soon, and good luck with everything.
Thanks.
Are you still using the dating apps?
No, I'm actually seeing somebody. I found somebody on Tinder. Yeah.
Oh, on Tinder.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So that worked. For now.
Good luck. Keep your texts and comments coming in 083 333 975, or you can call Audrey on 051 846 123. We're still going to be talking about Ballybeg. We're going to be talking to Liz Pope, CEO of the Property Registration Authority, on Property Alert. You'll want to hear this. And we're going to have our newly elected Green Party TD in with the new Green Councillor. So stay with us here to talk about that. Now, there's lots of sports happening this weekend. There is a big hurling match on this weekend against Galway. We don't have any clips from any of the hurling management. I texted them to see if anybody would come in. I haven't heard anything back. We will be playing a little clip of Dara Corcoran about the football, Waterford footballers. Hard luck to the under-20s last night. A big night the other night with the launch of the new jersey logo on 24/7 Cardiac Care, because the Blues are playing tonight against Bows. If you're around Waterford City tonight, please try and go to the match and support the Blues. Here's a quick clip of Willie Doyle, who is the campaigner, one of the long-standing campaigners for 24/7 Cardiac Care.
This is an absolutely super night for the cause, because this will take the message far and wide. No matter where the team goes now from now on in, this message is going to be displayed on their kit, and everybody, every place is going to see it. So with a bit of luck, we would hope to have a very, very positive outcome for our campaign, because we've been trying now for the last 6 years, and we're pushing, and this is a super chance to bring it now forward.
And Brian Murphy is the new captain of Waterford FC, and he's been talking to myself and Matt Keane about the importance of the 24/7 Cardiac campaign.
I think it's important for everybody in the South East to help the campaigners for this 24/7 cardiac. Instead of anyone dropped in front of us this evening, there's nothing many people can do but get them as quick as they can to Cork by the looks of it. So it's shameful really in this day and age that we don't have a cath lab open 24/7 in Waterford, and I know people personally who have needed it, and some lucky that it was within the 9 to 5 working hours. Others unfortunately probably needed to go to Cork. So, and I'm sure everyone in the South East knows somebody connected to them that has needed this care. So hopefully, by putting the sponsor on the jersey, it will open the eyes of the people further up the country and make everyone realise that the South East matters as well. I didn't realise it was 500,000 people that it served in this area, which is which is crazy, really.
I mean, you went over to England a decade ago. Could you believe it when you came back and it's still not here? Because Jack Power alluded to it. His dad couldn't understand it. Lee couldn't understand it.
Well, look, when you see where certain money's going from the government, I think it's not right. You know, I think hopefully, like, this is only a small step by putting the sponsor on the jersey and help the campaign in a small way. I know they've been working tremendously hard over the last 6 or 7 years to try and make people more aware of what's going on here. You know, it's not a choice. It has to happen. Like, it has to happen for the people of the South East. That's it.
Official captain, you were announced here tonight. Great honour.
Yeah, it is. Alan said it to me when he was trying to get me to come back. You know, I was kind of over and back whether I would come home or whether I would stick it out over in the UK. But you know, I've had a good run. I've been back over 11 years. I've been away 20 years. So. You know, I'm not getting any younger, so I think it's nice to maybe get home while I'm still able to play for a few years and set up base again here. You know, I've not lived here my adult life, so I'm kind of looking forward to that side of it as well, and not having to move every couple of years when your contract's up and stuff. So, well, they might get rid of me if I don't play well, but look, I'm here and I'm delighted to be captain. It wasn't something maybe I would have put my name for, because I tried to set an example in different ways, but you know, I'm the oldest. Bar Graham Cummins, two of us are in our 30s, but I'm in my later 30s than he is. So, but the rest of the group is early 20s, you know, and maybe a bit of guidance, you know, and you know, there might be different captains on the pitch at times, and I think we need 20 captains and to lead the team, because I think it's up to the group to claim responsibility for their own actions on the pitch, and I think the more voices, the more leaders we have on the pitch, it'll be better going forward.
The more voices, the more leaders. You're going to hear more of those voices and leaders after the news at 11. We're going to have Alan Reynolds and Jack Power on.